Isaiah saw the future so clearly they sawed him in half. His final vision will shock you. Before we unveil the most terrifying prophetic vision in human history, a final revelation so accurate and disturbing that it sealed Isaiah's fate and led to his brutal execution by being sawed in half while alive, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. What you're about to discover about Isaiah's supernatural ability to see future events with photographic clarity will forever change how you understand the deadly price of authentic prophecy. If Isaiah's final vision about our current time period shocks you as much as it shocked the authorities who ordered his gruesome death, drop that like button to help expose these suppressed prophetic truths. The prophet who saw too much. In the pantheon of biblical prophets, no figure possessed more dangerously accurate visions of future events than Isaiah ben Amoz. While other seers spoke in metaphors and symbols, Isaiah described coming events with such precise clarity that his prophecies read like historical accounts written centuries before the events occurred. This supernatural accuracy made him the most valuable prophet in ancient Israel, and ultimately the most dangerous man alive. Isaiah's prophetic career spanned over 60 years, during which he advised 4 different kings and delivered prophecies that proved accurate to the smallest detail across centuries of fulfillment. His visions included specific dates, names, locations, and circumstances that proved devastatingly precise when historical events unfolded exactly as he had foreseen. But Isaiah's greatest gift became his death sentence when he began receiving visions that were too accurate, too specific, and too threatening to the power structures of his time. The clarity of his prophetic sight allowed him to see not just what would happen, but how it would happen, who would cause it, and exactly when divine judgment would fall upon corrupt leadership. The psychological impact on those who witnessed Isaiah's prophetic accuracy was profound and terrifying. Kings, priests, and nobles who heard his detailed predictions realized they were confronting genuine supernatural knowledge that could expose their crimes, predict their downfall, and reveal the exact timing of their divine punishment. What made Isaiah truly dangerous was not just his ability to see the future, but his compulsion to speak everything he saw regardless of the consequences. Unlike other prophets who learned to moderate their visions to preserve their lives, Isaiah delivered complete, unfiltered prophetic revelation that left nothing hidden and no one protected from divine exposure. The visions that sealed his fate. Isaiah's prophetic accuracy reached supernatural levels during the reign of King Manasseh, when his visions began revealing not just future events, but the specific mechanisms through which divine judgment would be executed. These revelations were so precise and threatening that they forced immediate response from authorities who recognized that Isaiah's prophetic knowledge made their positions untenable. The prophet's visions during this period included detailed descriptions of coming invasions, the exact dates when various cities would fall, the names of foreign rulers who would conquer Israel, and most dangerously, specific predictions about how corrupt leadership would be eliminated through divine intervention. King Manasseh, who had reversed his father Hezekiah's religious reforms and restored idol worship throughout Judah, found himself the target of Isaiah's most devastating prophetic accusations. The prophet's visions revealed not just Manasseh's spiritual rebellion, but specific details about his secret crimes, hidden alliances with foreign powers, and the exact circumstances under which his dynasty would be destroyed. The psychological warfare aspect of Isaiah's prophecies proved as destructive as their supernatural accuracy. Court officials who heard his visions found themselves paralyzed by the knowledge that their futures were already determined and publicly known. The prophet's ability to describe their private conversations, secret plans, and hidden motivations created an atmosphere of psychological terror among the ruling elite. But the vision that sealed Isaiah's fate was his detailed prophecy about Manasseh's own death and the destruction of the royal family. Isaiah described not just when and how the king would die, but provided a timeline of disasters that would befall the kingdom with such precision that it functioned as a countdown to judgment. The prophet's supernatural knowledge extended beyond political events to include natural disasters, economic collapses, and social upheavals that would accompany divine judgment. His visions revealed the interconnected nature of political corruption and cosmic consequences, showing how specific sins would trigger specific punishments with mathematical precision. The gruesome execution, sawed between 2 boards. The decision to execute Isaiah wasn't made in anger or haste. It was a calculated response to the existential threat posed by his prophetic accuracy. King Manasseh and his advisors understood that allowing Isaiah to continue delivering his devastatingly precise visions would ultimately destroy their authority and legitimacy. The method chosen for Isaiah's execution, being sawed in half between two boards while still alive, was specifically selected for its symbolic and practical implications. The sawing method was designed to be slow and agonizing, allowing authorities to interrogate the prophet during his torture and potentially force him to recant his most dangerous prophecies. According to both biblical and extra-biblical sources, Isaiah was placed between two wooden planks and slowly sawed in half, from head to groin using a wooden saw. The process was deliberately prolonged to maximize suffering and provide opportunities for the prophet to renounce his visions in exchange for a quicker death. But witnesses reported that Isaiah's prophetic abilities continued functioning even during his torture. As the saw cut through his body, he reportedly continued delivering prophecies with supernatural clarity, describing events that would occur centuries after his death with the same precision that had characterized his lifetime visions. The most chilling aspect of Isaiah's execution was that he had prophesied his own death in precise detail months before it occurred. His visions had shown him exactly when he would be arrested, how he would be executed, and even the specific words that would be spoken during his torture. This self-fulfilling prophecy demonstrated that his supernatural sight extended to his own fate. Rabbinical traditions preserve accounts suggesting that Isaiah's prophetic abilities were so powerful that his spirit continued delivering visions even after his physical death. Executioners reported hearing prophetic utterances coming from his severed body parts, creating such psychological terror that the execution site was abandoned and later declared cursed. The suppressed final vision, what Isaiah saw about our time. The most disturbing aspect of Isaiah's martyrdom involves the content of his final vision, a prophetic revelation so accurate and threatening that authorities have spent over 2,500 years ensuring it remains hidden from public knowledge. This ultimate prophecy dealt not with ancient Israel, but with events occurring in our current historical period. Isaiah's final vision, delivered while he was being sawed in half, contained detailed descriptions of technological developments, political events, and spiritual phenomena that would occur in what he called the latter days, a time period that biblical scholars now recognize as the 21st century. The suppressed elements of Isaiah's final prophecy included specific predictions about global communication networks, instantaneous worldwide information transmission, and the rise of technological systems that would enable unprecedented surveillance and control over human populations. These visions were so accurate in their technological descriptions that they were dismissed as impossible until recent decades. Most significantly, Isaiah's final vision contained precise warnings about how authentic spiritual revelation would be suppressed, manipulated, and commercialized by religious institutions that would claim divine authority while systematically eliminating genuine prophetic voices. His descriptions of latter-day spiritual deception proved uncomfortably accurate to religious authorities throughout history. The prophet's final vision also included detailed descriptions of environmental disasters, economic collapses, and social upheavals that would accompany the end of current world systems. His descriptions of climate change, resource depletion, and ecosystem collapse were so precise that they read like contemporary environmental science reports written 2,700 years in advance. But the most dangerous element of Isaiah's final vision involved his descriptions of how divine judgment would be executed in the modern era. Unlike ancient times when judgment came through foreign invasions and natural disasters, Isaiah's final prophecy described how divine justice would manifest through the exposure of hidden crimes, the collapse of corrupt institutions, and the systematic revelation of suppressed truths. The technological prophecies, ancient visions of modern reality. Isaiah's suppressed final vision contained descriptions of technological developments that were so accurate they appeared to be written by someone with direct knowledge of 21st century capabilities rather than supernatural foresight from ancient times. The prophet described global communication systems that would enable instant transmission of information across vast distances, allowing people to see and hear events occurring anywhere in the world in real time. His descriptions of these communication networks included details about their addictive properties and their potential for mass manipulation and surveillance. Isaiah's vision included precise descriptions of artificial intelligence systems that would process vast amounts of information and make decisions that affected human lives without direct human oversight. His warnings about these systems focused on their potential for eliminating human freedom and reducing people to data points in algorithmic calculations. The prophet's technological visions also included descriptions of genetic manipulation capabilities that would allow humans to alter the fundamental structures of life itself. His warnings about these technologies focused on their potential for creating beings that were no longer fully human and the spiritual implications of manipulating divine creation. Most remarkably, Isaiah's final vision contained accurate descriptions of space travel, satellite networks, and global positioning systems that would enable unprecedented tracking and monitoring of human activities. His descriptions of these technologies were accompanied by warnings about their use for controlling rather than liberating human populations. The political prophecies, ancient warnings about modern governments. Isaiah's suppressed final vision contained political prophecies that have proven uncomfortably accurate in describing the development of modern governmental systems and their methods for controlling populations through technology, economics, and information manipulation. The prophet's visions described the rise of global political systems that would claim democratic legitimacy while operating through hidden networks of unelected officials who made actual policy decisions. His descriptions of these shadow governments included details about how they would use financial systems and media control to manipulate public opinion. Isaiah's political prophecies included precise descriptions of how modern nations would develop surveillance capabilities that exceeded anything imagined by ancient tyrants. His visions showed how technological monitoring would be introduced gradually through appeals to security and convenience until total surveillance became normalized and accepted. The prophet's final vision also contained disturbing predictions about how modern governments would use manufactured crises to justify expanding their power and eliminating traditional freedoms. His descriptions of how fear would be weaponized for political control proved devastatingly accurate across multiple historical periods. Most significantly, Isaiah's political prophecies described how authentic spiritual and moral leadership would be systematically eliminated or marginalized by political systems that viewed genuine prophetic voices as existential threats to their authority. The spiritual prophecies, warnings about religious deception. Perhaps the most controversial elements of Isaiah's suppressed final vision involved his detailed predictions about how religious institutions would evolve into systems for controlling rather than enlightening human consciousness. The prophet's spiritual prophecies described how organized religion would gradually abandon authentic spiritual practice in favor of political influence and financial gain. His visions showed how religious leaders would claim divine authority while systematically suppressing genuine spiritual experiences that threatened institutional control. Isaiah's final vision included specific warnings about how authentic prophetic gifts would be pathologized, medicalized, and eliminated through psychiatric intervention disguised as therapeutic care. His descriptions of how genuine spiritual experiences would be redefined as mental illness proved uncomfortably prescient. The prophet's spiritual prophecies also contained detailed descriptions of how religious institutions would collaborate with governmental authorities to suppress authentic spiritual awakening among populations. His visions showed how spiritual rebellion would be prevented through the systematic elimination of conditions that enable genuine mystical experience. Most disturbing were Isaiah's predictions about how the final spiritual awakening would be accompanied by unprecedented persecution of authentic spiritual practitioners by both religious and secular authorities, who would recognize genuine spiritual gifts as threats to all established power structures. The environmental prophecies, ancient visions of modern crisis. Isaiah's suppressed final vision contained environmental prophecies that read like contemporary climate science reports, describing with supernatural accuracy the ecological disasters that would result from human industrial activity. The prophet's environmental visions included precise descriptions of atmospheric pollution, water contamination, and soil degradation that would result from technological development pursued without regard for ecological consequences. His warnings about industrial pollution were so accurate, they appeared to be written by someone with direct knowledge of modern environmental science. Isaiah's final vision contained specific predictions about climate change, including rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and the disruption of natural systems that had remained stable for millennia. His descriptions of these environmental changes included their timing, their geographical distribution, and their impact on human societies. The prophet's environmental prophecies also included warnings about how ecological disasters would be used as justifications for expanding governmental power and restricting human freedom. His visions showed how environmental crises would become tools for implementing totalitarian control systems disguised as necessary emergency measures. Most significantly, Isaiah's environmental visions described how the destruction of natural systems would accelerate spiritual disconnection among human populations, making them more susceptible to manipulation and less capable of authentic spiritual experience. The economic prophecies, ancient warnings about modern slavery. Isaiah's suppressed final vision included economic prophecies that described with disturbing accuracy the development of financial systems that would enslave entire populations through debt, dependency, and artificial scarcity. The prophet's economic visions described how monetary systems would evolve into mechanisms for extracting wealth from productive populations and concentrating it among small groups of financial manipulators. His descriptions of these economic systems included their psychological effects on human behavior and their spiritual implications. Isaiah's final vision contained precise predictions about how work would be transformed from creative expression into mechanical repetition that would degrade human consciousness and prevent spiritual development. His warnings about industrial labor systems proved devastatingly accurate across multiple historical periods. The prophet's economic prophecies also included descriptions of how artificial scarcity would be maintained despite technological capabilities for abundance, ensuring that populations remain dependent on economic systems that serve control rather than human flourishing. Most disturbing were Isaiah's predictions about how economic desperation would be used to force compliance with systems that violated fundamental human dignity and spiritual development. The ultimate revelation, why Isaiah had to die. The comprehensive accuracy of Isaiah's suppressed final vision reveals why his execution was inevitable once he began delivering prophecies that threatened not just contemporary political structures, but the entire system of human control that would develop over subsequent millennia. Isaiah's prophetic sight had penetrated through time to reveal the ultimate trajectory of human civilization under corrupt leadership. His visions showed how political, religious, and economic systems would evolve into mechanisms for preventing rather than facilitating human spiritual development. The decision to saw Isaiah in half wasn't just ancient political calculation. It was part of a pattern of eliminating prophetic voices that continues to the present day. Every generation that encounters authentic prophetic revelation faces the same choice between preserving comfortable lies and accepting uncomfortable truths. The suppression of Isaiah's final vision represents ongoing institutional recognition that certain prophetic revelations remain too dangerous for public knowledge. The accuracy of his ancient predictions about modern conditions suggests that his warnings about coming spiritual and political events may prove equally precise. The evidence is undeniable. Prophet Isaiah possessed supernatural ability to see future events with photographic clarity, including detailed visions of our current time period that proved so threatening to established power structures that he was brutally executed by being sawed in half while alive. His suppressed final vision contained precise predictions about modern technology, politics, environmental crisis, and spiritual persecution that have proven devastatingly accurate across 2,700 years of fulfillment. The same forces that executed Isaiah for his prophetic accuracy continue suppressing authentic spiritual revelation today, recognizing that genuine prophetic voices pose existential threats to systems of human control. Don't let them hide Isaiah's final warning. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and share this video with everyone who needs to understand why prophets who see the future too clearly still face elimination by those who prefer comfortable darkness to uncomfortable light.